Hello, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to all our viewers across the globe. Today, this is Uttarun Chaudhary from hashtag Go Viral to Stop the Virus, and with me is Mr. Pitika Ntuli, a man who needs no introduction, one of the brightest and one of the foremost names among artists of the world. And I would want to take you through who Mr. Ntuli is. Let me tell you that following the tradition of the Renaissance man, Pitika Ntuli is a true artistic, political, and academic polymath. Interested in exploring the contradictory relationship between tradition and modernity, Ntuli's witty and dark reflections on our society are captivating and visionary. Let me again underline that Mr. Ntuli's contribution to the development of arts and culture in South Africa has been immense. He served as director of the Sankofa Institute of African Renaissance, and he was awarded the Arts and Culture Trust Lifetime Achievement Award in 2013, and the city of Johannesburg named him a living legend in 2012. Mr. Pitika Ntuli has baffled us with his poetry, his sculpture, and the journey of his life. And so today I will talk to him, and I would let him speak about his life and his amazing bone sculptures, which we're presenting today. Hi, Pitika, how are you doing?
Hi, Atran, and also to the viewers.
All right. So, Pitika, I would, want to tell you this, that, your life has movements and beats like ancient primordial rhythms. That's what I feel. So because you've been through so much, how did your language, how did the Nguni language and the sculpture, and how did it sculpt your heart? Please describe your life's journey from your childhood and how you came where you are and how you, became such a brilliant artist.
I am a soul that emerged from the stench and the gutter of oppression and breathe hope in the atmosphere of despair. Born in a mining town, breathing black fumes, riding up and down the mine dumps of Emalahleni. Yes, I am the child of the fire, the child of the wind. I am the child that has survived the ravages of apartheid, of colonialism, to be able to smile in the morning, smile in the afternoon, and at night sleep to dream in my own language.
Oh, how wonderful! It can't be better. That's your poem. That describes you. I'm thrilled, Pitika. And so let me ask you this: that your language, the Nguni language, has a word. Ntuli would mean a man who. It'll connect you to hyenas and mambas, isn't it? The mamba snake.
Yeah. Oh yes. According to my culture, when a child is born, you don't cut the umbilical cord and leave it in the hospital. You let the umbilical cord hang where it drops. You plant a tree in order to create a link between the child and the world of nature. And then you say to the child when they grow up, you are the child of the hyena, you are the child of the mamba snake, you are linked to animals, you are linked to plants, you are linked into everything, you are interconnected. You are not the victim of Newtonian physics, of binary opposites, black, white, good, bad, but we are the children of indigenous African knowledge system that is in tune with quantum mechanics of interconnectivity, interrelationship, as well as interdependent on what is actually near you. So that in my language, we have got so many proverbs. These proverbs are telling you that don't spit into the river, don't pee into the river, don't do poo into the river. In other words, don't pollute nature, protect nature. Don't kill animals, protect animals, because if at all you don't, we are going to end up in a situation in which we find ourselves actually today when Mother Earth is going to produce viruses in order to tame us and force us to sit down quietly and meditate about the future of the world, the future of nature, and our own future, and our children's future.
Okay, all right, and that is extremely noble, because see, this is how in the world where we live in right now, it is actually reaching. The world is angry. The world is an angry world, and what you said makes so much sense. Pitika, I would want to ask you that, as in, because, I mean, you grew up in South Africa when there was apartheid going on. Then you moved across the world, and you moved to a different part of the world altogether. And can you tell us a little bit about your journey and how it changed you, and or how it strengthened you, and when you came back, how it, what it did to you?
One of the things that I remember very much is that when I was about 8 years old,
Mm-hmm.
I went to visit my uncle who was a businessman. And if
Okay.
you are a black and you are a businessman, those times you won't succeed unless you become a partner with a white person or a
Mm-hmm.
colored or an Indian person. So
Okay.
my uncle made partnership with Padayaji, who was an Indian.
All right.
One day, as I was sitting with my uncle, I saw Padayaji with his big truck driving, and I said to my uncle, Uncle, your coolie friend is coming." My uncle said, "What did you say?" I said, "Coolie." He said, "Do you remember when your father was very, 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 very angry? He broke cups and everything." I said, "Yes." He says, "Why?" I said, "Because a white man called him a kafir, a wog." Then he says, "You just called my friend Padayachi a wog and a kafir." I said, "I didn't mean that." Then he said, "Okay, go and fetch the sweets." When Padayachi came, and was very good for me, as always is. When
Mm-hmm.
he was going back home, he said to me, "I am going to give you a lift. You are going to drive my truck to your house." I
Okay.
said, "I can't drive." He said, "You will drive." And then he put me there, and I held the steering wheel. I was driving in the township, waving at other people, and other children were admiring me. When we stopped at home, and the people, and he went away, people said, "We saw you driving that big truck belonging to a coolie." I said, "That guy is not a coolie. His name is Padeachi. His uncle Padeachi. Don't call him a coolie." And when the guy had called him that, I was caught in so many fights with so many people. 3 weeks later, my uncle called me, said, "I understand we have been fighting everybody." I said, "Yeah, they keep calling, Indian people, coolies." Then he said to me, "This is the battle you are going to fight for the rest of your life."
Right.
Then in the end, I said to myself, if this is a world I'm going to fight for the rest of my life, I need to understand. By the
Mm-hmm.
time I was 17, 18, I was beginning to read the Vedanta, the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita. I had to learn about Lord Shiva. I had to learn about Parvati. I had to learn about all of these, things which have made me who I am, today. That's one aspect of the mission I gave myself that I continued to pursue.
How wonderful! I mean, like the scriptures the Indian scriptures that you spoke about. Yes, I mean they make the DNA of every Indian, and it is so wonderful to know that it has made you. I mean, it is formed, say, maybe one fabric of the fabric of Pitika Ntuli, and that I feel wonderful to think about that. And so let me ask you that, when you were in exile, and you were in exile in London, and in 1945 you came back to South Africa. And when you return to your source, say Azibuel Emasesweni, when you return to your source, what did you see, and how did you feel, and what did you want to do to the South Africa that you saw when you came back?
What happened is that when we are in exile, like I was in exile for 33 years, when we're in exile, you carry a double consciousness.
Okay.
You are conscious of your country that you want to return to, that is free with its culture, with its language, with its beauty, its mountain, its rivers, its dongas, its wonderful, stars. And then you
Mm-hmm.
got the country where you are living. Some people accept you, some of the people don't actually accept you, but you have built up a resistance to being rejected because you just want to be positive. Every
Right.
day of your life, every night, every minute, you dream that one day I shall return to the land of my own ancestors. I will speak my own language. I would even dream in my language. I would even smile in my dialect. So when
Wow.
I returned back into South Africa, to see my mother who I had not seen for years, my sisters who I had not seen for years. They were almost like strangers, to me. People like Eugene Skiff, Juwono Gungbe, people I was sharing my exile with had become more, my brothers and my cousins than my own, brothers. But when I went
And
back, then I began now. First, I got a little bit disappointed because when I was in exile, I always remember South Africa being a land where the soil was red. So when I came back, the soil was not red, it was just like ordinary soil. I said to my
okay.
mother, I lied to people to say our soil was red. You know what my mother said? He said, don't worry, the soil also got old.
Oh. All right. And
So my returning home was not just a return. I was returning home. I was getting over to go and teach at the University of the Vet in Witwatersrand. I was
mhm,
recruited from London to come back home. I was coming back home knowing that I'm coming back to a job that I very much liked because that's what I
right.
was doing when I was living in the UK,
Mhm,
lecturing and teaching.
right. Right. And so when you came back, I mean, what did you see? I mean, because have read about your views on monuments. That South Africa was full of monuments, and wanted you wanted to contribute to the monuments which would stand for the ancient African culture, monuments which would talk about the ancient wisdom of Africa. And so, did you decide to build more monuments and you know to talk about the ancient culture of Africa when you came back?
When I came back, when I got over to the airport, the first thing that I saw was a statue. It was a statue that was oppressing me. As I was driving home, I was seeing statues. Those statues were not speaking to me. Those statues were speaking about the people who were suppressing me, the people
I
who had taken everything that actually belonged to us, to belong, into our own, culture. And then I
understand.
said to myself, how can I be a sculptor when I cannot live, in a sense, monuments that will make my people proud, that will capture our history. That is why in this exhibition, as William Sisweni, although it is a bone exhibition, but I have a video of five tall monuments in a video that is called History Written in Stone. I had to do monuments, a monument
Right.
of the time when we decided that peaceful resistance does not work. Let us embark on
Mhm.
armed struggle. We have that. I have a monument of a woman who standing in there giving birth when she is standing, because that's what actually the perverted warders used to do, to the women, strip them naked, and they get their own, pleasure. I said, I am going to make that. Then I have another one on vigilance. And when we decided that we are going to take armed struggle, I have those monuments for everything. A monument of Mandela in granite, which is 20
Mhm.
tons heavy, 4.3 meters high. Winnie Mandela, it was about 15 tons in Namibian marble. When that marble
Mhm.
is polished, it has got pinks and purples to symbolize blood. Steve Biko, Sobukwe, all our heroes are captured in my art, in my own monuments. So that when the people say, they say, these are the people who sacrificed for us to be where we are
Right.
here today. Because the power of monuments is so strong. That is why in Cape Town, Kumani Manuele, one of the students, took poo and threw it onto the statue of Cecil John Rhodes and said, Rhodes must fall. Why should Rhodes fall? He caused too many problems, Rhodes, between the Afrikaner people and the English, right?
Okay.
And when he got bad press in England, he had a very good friend, Rudyard Kipling, who was a poet, who wrote a poem to encourage him to oppress us. The poem is called If. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can walk with kings but not lose the common touch, if you can fulfill the unforgiving minute with 20 seconds of decent run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, you'll be a man, my son. Poetry was used against us.
True.
I use my poetry, I use my own sculpture to speak for us and to speak for those who are not us, who believe like we believe in us and who believe in coexistence, who believe in love and who believe in peace, who believe in creativity. That's where I am.
Right. I mean, it is very enlightening. Yeah. And I would ask you this, that, see, as your sculptures talk about oppression, your sculptures also talk about forgiveness and generosity and, rising above the oppression. So I feel that, I would need to ask you that, is art, do you think your art, is it a form of spiritual healing? I mean, is that why you open your studios to people? Because usually almost, I believe, twice a month, you open your studios to people where people can come in and collectively create art. I mean, creating art becomes a collective medium. I mean, I feel that, in ancient African culture, in all ancient cultures, I believe, collectivism was extremely important, where people could come together and perform a ritual collectively. Individualism is a product of modernism. So I believe, is art for you a collective medium of spiritual healing? I just wanted to know.
Yeah, oh yes, no. You cannot divorce art from from healing. Western art in the beginning was mostly religious art. Then Newtonian physics came in. Then art became secular. And then it became art for art's sake. And art has been moving far away from the purpose for which it was created. Now, when I ask some of the people I collaborate with, like you will tell me yourself, when I said, when you saw this art piece, what happened to you? They will say, I was filled with so much emotion. I did not know really what to do. I looked at it and I walked away and I came back again. This powerful emotion, came and it grabbed me, and it was a positive emotion. And I was proud, that I am born in Africa, and I am, in Africa. Whereas what we do in the Western world, immediately you see a work of art, then you have to run up and do some kind of a little theory. You reduce it into your brain, you break it into little bits and pieces. Whereas art was being brought together, bringing bones together, beef together, wood together, everything together, just like we want as human beings in the world to be interconnected, to be interrelated, to be interdependent, actually on each other. So for me, sculpture is a spiritual exercise. The issue of the aesthetics, the issues of beauty, the issues of appreciation, the issues of keeping it actually into your house, the celebration of beauty cannot be separated from the separation of spirit, because the beauty, it's a spirit that must put pronouncement on beauty.
Wonderful. As I hear you speak, as every word comes out of your mouth, I'm fascinated. As in, it's opening new doors for me. Very honest, and I believe all the viewers who are watching, a lot of people have written that they're glad to hear from you, and I believe that you're opening new doors into their minds and their hearts. Pitika, I might ask you to, is it possible to put a little light on your face because it's getting a little darker?
Yes, yeah, that's what I was trying to do to get some light and try to get some light onto myself. Yeah, you know what?
This is perfect. This is better now. This is
You gotta
better
get
now.
it while I'm black. Do you know why I became black?
Why?
Just when I was being born, they switched the lights off.
All right. Yeah, Pitika
I
Ntuli
hear
and his
this
sense of humor, guys. His sense of humor. I mean, he's an amazing person with his amazing sense of humor. Thank you so much, Pitika. But right now,
sure.
yes, right now the light on you is perfect. Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you.
So I So let me move to the next question. Yes, Pitika, you're fascinated by the ancient and the modern. You talk about quantum physics, you talk about the theory of relativity. And how do you think ancient wisdom connects to the modern laws of physics? Or are they in contrary, or do they walk hand in hand? What do you think?
When you look at the first world people, the fourth world people, just go to India, right?
Hmm.
The seekers, the seers, the yogis, everybody knew what quantum mechanics is telling us today, right?
Right.
When you get to my culture, or it's in India or in South America, what you
Hmm.
know is that plants and animals have
Hmm.
spirit, they've got consciousness.
Right.
And
Right.
when we said that, they said we must civilize these people because they are animists. They believe in spirit in everything. And yet today,
Animist.
quantum
Hmm.
mechanics affirms that that in itself is very true. That's what spirit. And then again, they said that we must be given Christianity because we are idolaters. We worship idols. Let's define what these idols are. These idols are my sculptures. These idols are sculptures. When you love your sculptures, they said you are barbaric, you are uncivilized, therefore you must be civilized. When I stand in front of my statue and I'm doing my traditional ritual thing, celebrating my ancestors, they say, oh, there is Professor Ntuli worshiping his ancestors. And yet when Elizabeth Boris Trump becomes a Catholic and goes and pray in front of the statue of the Virgin Mary, they are seeking spirits, so the spirit must lead them to God. But when it is me, they'll be saying, "Oh, he's come from Africa to come and worship the statue of the Virgin, Mary." You can see that you've got a double bind in here. So, in other
Right.
words, when you speak about art between, say, Africa and Europe, you're not talking about the same thing. In
Right.
Africa, art, the aesthetics is very powerful. Beauty is powerful, but that
Hmm.
beauty does not exist for its own sake. It's a beauty in order to help you to reach spirit. It helps you to articulate spirit. It helps
Hmm.
you to embrace spirit. So you cannot separate spirituality, from a painting or a sculpture, a dance or a poem. Just everything that goes with creativity must carry spirit.
I understand. I understand. I understand this perfectly. I mean that it entails the next question that how important do you think ancient wisdom and spirituality is right now? Because right now the world is angry. The world is angry, and it is there are these viruses everywhere, and when we are all confined in our homes, and at this point of time, I feel like it's my point of view that ancient wisdom, which, like you said, which spoke about conservation, spoke about not killing animals, not cutting trees, is very important at this point of time. I just want to know your point of view.
Now, my point of view is that the issue of spirituality is central to everything
Right.
that we do. If people are without spirit, you see them. You get into the room, you look at somebody,
Mhm.
Like I was sitting there talking to my wife, we were waiting for you to call. And as soon as you came in there, my wife afterwards, he said, I love Uttaran's, smile. I really love, his face. He has got a very good spirit. So you can tell the spirit as a person goes. Now, when you look at somebody like some president of another country, I do not want to meet. I've got a trump card on him. He has got no spirit.
I understand.
So the spirit is there. When they say, do unto others as they will do unto you, what are you doing? You are expressing. In South Africa, when we talk about Ubuntu, it's a
Ubuntu.
philosophy that guides us. The basis of Ubuntu is that I am because you are.
Right.
If you are miserable, I cannot be happy at your expense. Right?
Absolutely.
If you are because I am, therefore I must treat you like I would like somebody else, to treat me. That covers it up. The very word Ubuntu, that Ubuntu in language at the bottom there, is a vital force, is the power to cause things to happen and to change. If you
Right.
put in mu, mu, in front of that Ubuntu, you get muntu, which in Nguni language means a human being. Therefore, a human being is the one who possesses the power to cause things to happen and to happen and to change. Because a human being is a change agent, and you can never be a change agent unless you are a spiritual being.
I
Spirit
understand.
always comes.
Yes, I mean it is so wonderful that what you just said, it resonates with the Indian philosophy. When the philosophers of India thousands of years ago, when they wrote the Vedanta, or when they wrote the Vedas, and Vedanta is the essence of the Vedas. They spoke about the same, as you'd know, because you've studied the Vedas and you've internalized them. That there's one supreme being, one Brahma, and all of us, we are a part of the Param Brahma, and we are also the Param Brahma ourselves. And so, it is very. I mean, our world starts with you, and it ends with you as well. And so, no individual is separate. No individual is alone. Everyone is connected to the trees, to the earth, to the animals, and to other human beings, and to our ancestors as well. So it is like a cycle. It is a continuous process of cosmic connections, and it is wonderful. Like the concept of Ubuntu, we've read about it, because right now it's a very popular concept. People talk about it, and it's all over the internet. I've read about it as well, and so instantly when you spoke about this, it resonated with me. So thank you.
Yes,
And
but what I have to take it back, you see why I love, say Indian art. Where you talk about the whole notions of the rasas. The rasa has got to do with taste,
the nine
right?
rasa,
Yeah, the
yes,
9 rasas.
yes,
What you taste, the feeling that you have, the
yes,
comfort, the discomfort, that you have. All of
right.
these rasas, what are they speaking to? They are speaking to the manifestation of spirit, and how different rasas in one piece of art carry the dialogue and the conversation into another spiritual realm, reinforcing your sense of being, reinforcing your sense of humanity, reinforce your sense of connectedness, not only with your neighbors and with other people, but with nature, with everything, even with snakes, with lions, with just everything that that exists. You
Right. Yes, and and rasas also make your sense of appreciation really wide, because rasas deal with maybe it deals with love, it deals with heroism, it also strangely deals with the supernatural. So it opens your world of appreciation a lot more. And because as you said, that the West believes in beauty, and as in of course, as I've been a student of literature, read Orientalism by Edward Said, where he spoke
Yes.
about the Western gaze, and the concept of the Orient. And in reality, I mean, the colonized countries, like say India was colonized for a very long time, and we're still carrying the burden of colonization. I mean, it was considered that our culture was not culture at all. I mean, we had to be taught the culture of the colonizers, and we had to be civilized. And so when I look at the Indian concept of the nine rasas, which you mentioned, I feel, and when I look at the concept of aesthetics from Western India, I from the West. I'm sorry. And when I look at that, I feel that the Indian concept of appreciation of art is I feel that it is very wide, and it is amazing. And so
It is,
and
it is absolutely amazing.
yes, yes,
It, it,
and
it is amazing.
yeah.
When you look at the question of spirit, why does Ganesha live? Ganesha is a remover of what obstacles. You cannot
Mhm.
remove other people's obstacles without caring about their spirit.
All right.
We unleash a number of gods,
Mhm.
to be there in order to aid us when we, when we need them. But that does not mean to say that we only think of perfection. When things are absolutely bad, I will join Lord Shiva and go on Mount Meru and dance the Nataraja, the dance of destruction and creation. Those
All right.
contradictions that exist, in between. Yeah, good and bad exist in order to produce a third factor that is going to take us out of the morass in which we are languishing.
Yes, yes, yes. As I said, every word you say is a gem. I mean, my wife Sunrita Chaudhary just wrote that about you. I mean, she wrote. I'll read it from her quote here. Such an erudite individual. How enlightening it is listening to him talk. Thank you, Dr. Ntuli, for finding the time to talk to us. And thank you again. I mean, people are very very happy when they're listening to you right now, and they're commenting. And Pitika, I would ask you this. I would move to the next question. That like right now, as the world is moving through a crisis, as the virus is raging through various different parts of the world, when the virus was raging through Africa, when the virus was raging through your hometown, what did you feel as an artist? Or did what did you want to do as an artist, and how did you feel? What were your responsibilities as an artist?
I was working upon an exhibition of the bones that are on exhibit right now, but they were
Yes.
meant to go to different galleries in different provinces of the country and also traveling
Mhm.
abroad. Then when the
Right.
pandemic came, then I said, "Oh, it looks like African ancestors are really speaking to us. Let
Mhm.
us get these bones together, bring in 33 people to collaborate with
Mhm.
me, so that all collective, creative, spiritual people can come together to focus our minds on what is possible. And what is possible, it is the issue of healing. Is an issue of healing. Our continent. And as I was looking at this virus, I said to me, where do these viruses actually come from? We have made
Mhm.
Mother Earth angry. And Mother Earth is revenging on us. It is forcing us to be isolated. It is forcing broken families for people to come together. It is forcing us to meditate. It is forcing us to think beyond ourselves. It is forcing us to think beyond the thoughts that we have ever had. It is also pushing us that it is. When I said to these collaborators, here, let us all work together.
Mhm.
No one asked any more questions. They said, it's about the virus. We want to contribute actually to this. No one, out of the 33, only one person I had to sit around, keep chasing. I almost gave them up. The rest of the people came with ideas and said to me, how can we not do it like this and like this, like this, like this? Because ultimately, I might be getting the spotlight, but the spotlight is not mine. It is us.
Yes,
That's what it was.
yes.
That's what spirit means. That's what spirit tells me. Because when I was working on these bones, I was working on one of the bones called Nephritis dream. It was
Hmm.
so thick that it cracked and broke after
Okay.
working on it for weeks. When I did not know what to do, I went home and I put up a CD by Sibongile Khumalo, one of our brilliant spiritual singers. When she started actually singing, I laughed. I left my house and I went to my studio and began working. So as I was working up all these bones, all these people are collaborating. Their music, their poetry, their thoughts were all behind, me, because you will understand coming from the India that we are not alone. We don't walk
Absolutely.
alone. We carry tribes inside ourselves. We carry people inside ourselves. We carry intellectuals. We carry bad people and good people. And the spirit inside ourselves must teach the bad people in us not to get rid of them, but to improve them, to humanize them. That's what art does. It's a humanizing experience, making us reach deeper where nothing has actually reached us. It will.
Yes, 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 absolutely, absolutely. So, I mean, this is thrilling. This is thrilling, Patika. I mean, when I looked at your, your sculptures, I mean, it gave me ideas of poetry. I mean, it made me tear up. I mean, because as in the part of India in which we're from. I'm sorry. Is this okay?
Yeah,
The part.
that's okay. I can see I'm getting to be a real black person in there. I'm just trying to ask my wife to enlighten me. She enlightens me in my poetry, enlightens me in my art, enlightens me in everything. So I am. Yeah. Okay, thank you. We can go on. Yeah.
Yes. So when I looked at your sculptures, I mean, it made me, for a moment, it made me teary-eyed. I felt that, I felt a very deep connection. I'll tell you why. Because, the part of India where I'm from Bengal, and Bengal had been partitioned during, before independence. And then, so I come from, the eastern part of Bengal. My ancestors, they come from the land of Chittagong, which is in East Bengal. And I,
Yes.
my partner, we live in the West, we live in India. And so my homeland is a different country altogether right now. I've never been there. My father has not been there. My grandfather was from Chittagong. But every living moment, every day, I feel a connection with my homeland. And I feel that, my homeland is divided. Of course, India is my homeland. But at the
Mhm.
same time, I feel this tug from the umbilical cord from a distant land, which was supposed to be my home, which was supposed to be the home of my ancestors, which was supposed to be where all my my memories are from, my the blood that runs through my veins, the old blood, it's from there. And so when I looked at your sculptures, I mean, for some time, I was baffled, and I was thinking of my ancestors. I was thinking of the ancient knowledge that I'm carrying inside of me, and I was baffled. And so, before we move on to discussing the four sculptures from Azibuel Imasisweni, or Return to Source, I would ask you to talk a little about the series of 45 bone sculptures. I mean, why did where did you get this idea from, and how did you start? How did you source your material, and how did Azibuel Imasisweni came into being? How did it all begin?
But before to do that, you are away from your own country. In other words, you are in exile. And I was in exile for 33 years. It is not
Right.
surprising that you would relate to the to the work that I do, because it actually also speaks to it. Now, I'll put it this way:
Mm-hmm.
uh, I, in my country, as a sangoma and a healer, we
Mm-hmm.
use bones. We say we throw bones. Why do you
Okay.
throw bones? You throw bones in order to divine the state of the world in anomy. If there's greed and corruption, you throw bones. If there's illness, you throw bones. And the way the bones fall, they point a direction to which you have to go to follow the line. The line of spirit. Now, if
Mm-hmm.
you're away from home, like you have been away from home, I've been away from home. I couldn't do some of the things that I really wanted to do. But this
Mm-hmm.
time I decided that now. Theodore Roosevelt came to Africa with his big gun and killed an elephant and wrote something very proud about it. I visit white people's homes in America. I didn't care. I see our animals on the walls with their beautiful, horns. So everything that is there, it's an issue of distraction. But we are saying then that getting home now, looking at the bones, I said to myself, I carry bones in my mind. My skeleton is my architecture. When someone says, "Hey, Pitika Ntuli is a very handsome person," I celebrate I celebrate my bones. Isn't it? Now, here is a secret I'm going to lead you to. I'm not a rabbit and a Christian. I'm just a believer in everything that is good and nice, right?
Mm-hmm.
God, according to Christians, God creates Adam. And poor Adam is so miserable. Just imagine you without a wife and she's gone for 6 years. You become very miserable. So God takes pity on humanity. He reaches his long hand and he takes a rib out of a man, and a rib is a
Right.
bone. A rib is a
Right.
bone and constructs woman. Are you therefore surprised that many of the titles of Asbuel Emma Sisweni, there are more titles about women? Warrior Queen
Right.
of Africa, Princess, Nefertiti's dream, long-breasted woman. I can go on and on and on. And most of the collaborators are also women, because we are celebrating
Understand.
the issue of that toughness of that bone, that brittleness and that durability. That is in it. We know, for instance, that we have lived for 3.5 million years because of the evidence of bones, which is placed at the cradle of humankind, where life started. Give us a fossil of 3.5 million years. That's how durable those bones are. I said, if these bones are fragile and
Mm-hmm.
yet they're absolutely durable, therefore, if I come up with issue of spirituality, I must get the thing that are rejected. You are going to have your meat today. You eat your meat. When you finish your meat, what do you do with the bone? You throw the bone away. And
Mm-hmm.
the Christian Bible says a stone that the builder rejects becomes the cornerstone of the
Right.
house, or the cornerstone of a civilization. So the bones that I put in there are the cornerstone of the architecture of spirit, the architecture of soul, the architecture of love, the architecture of hope, the architecture of art, the architecture of creativity lies within the bones. The marrow, inside there is the oil. It is a fuel that fuels actually these bones in order to remain. That's why we say, blood of my blood, bone of my bone. I love bones because, maybe let me give you a short poem. These days, I ask myself so many questions. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why a bone could be so brittle and so durable? I went to visit the old lady in the cradle of humankind, Mrs. Pless, who waited for 3.5 million years to tell us about our origins. I looked at her bony face. I looked at the empty sockets. Inside the empty sockets, I caught a glimmer. I caught a snippet of a smile. Then I knew bones have secrets. So I'm getting
Absolutely.
the secret of the bones and throw him in there to confront the pandemic.
Absolutely, as they translated the pandemic using the bones. I mean, this is again, it's heartwarming, and I must say that right now we're being watched from, different parts of the world. People are writing, like Johan S. Williamson from Iceland just wrote about you. I mean, he wrote "Amazing man, amazing artist." Uh, George Stricklelock, I mean, he's from Suriname, South America. He wrote "Great." Rubai Chaudhary from India, she wrote "Great." And of course, Eugene Skeef, I mean, he wrote "Ululations beyond measure." I mean, as we talk, all of these people are listening to us, and then they're writing about how wonderful they're feeling when they talk to you. So, and
You know
and when
why?
they
You know why they're reacting like that? Because it is not you and I talking.
yes,
We are talking to the spirit, they are reacting the spirit. It is their spirit that is actually speaking to us. It is our discussion that ignites their spirit. It is those words that you're actually saying here that encourages me to be who I am and you to be who you are. We are handcuffed together as human beings. It's not
yes.
you and I, it is us.
It is us, absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better, Pitika. So, on this note, Pitika, we'll move to the four sculptures that we will talk about today. And
Mhm.
so let's move to them, and let's see. I would like to tell our viewers that Pitika has amazing poetry. Poetry is written for all his sculptures, and we would hear his poetry in his inimitable voice, in the voice of Pitika Ntuli, as we see his sculptures, and as he'll talk about the stories behind them, and as he'll, yeah. So this is, rather than saying anything else, we'll move to the first one. This beautiful sculpture is titled "Transatlantic Bone at the Bottom of the Ocean." And here it is in front of us, this amazing piece of work, which we're looking at right now. So, Pitika, the first question I would ask you is, what bone is this? I mean, which animal is this?
That's part of an elephant bone, part of an elephant inner shoulder.
I understand. And
As you said, the transatlantic bone at the bottom of the ocean. Its praise song says, "We children of Africa see eye to eye on the journey we travel together, burdened with joint memories through betrayals, even by treacherous seas that carried us to distant foreign lands. We are the Minkisis, the fetishes they robbed us of, returned to protect our dreams in these nights of ceaseless perfidy of those charged to safeguard our soul."
wow, so wonderful, wonderful, Pitika. So, could you tell us a little about the story behind this, please?
Yeah, you know what happened is that European slavers came to Africa and stole our people and stole our ancestors. And many of these ancestors, millions of them, perished in the Atlantic. So the exhibition, as Buele Emasisweni, is also about the bridge of bones that stretches, from Africa right up into the cotton fields of America and in the other and in the islands. So I am talking about those. When I refer here about being betrayed even by treacherous seas, it is a middle passage that we are actually talking that we are talking about.
Right. Right. So, as in, I would want to say that, when I looked at this sculpture echoed inside of me, and I could feel the sound of the sea. I could feel the swaying of an endless blue ocean, thousands and thousands of miles of salt water under my feet. I could feel the sway. I could feel people huddled together, you know,
Mm.
are looking eye to eye, closing their eyes, putting their foreheads together, struggling with their chains, and thinking of the journey,
Thinking.
thinking of not knowing where the ship is taking them. I felt this strange connection because I told you about my own journey. My own journey. I was born in India, but my heart lies in a different country, which was the land of my ancestors. And so it's almost like I'm born in an exile. And as I move through my life, and I close my eyes and I think that where am I going? I mean, it's almost like life itself, which we at times can't trust. And right now, as the world is going through maybe its worst crisis, the pandemic, I mean, so I feel that all of us right now, every day, we're locked in our houses. We are waiting. I mean, we look at news, we look at our neighbors, and we think that where are we going? And so, it is this journey of our senses, the journey of our minds, the journey of our souls, which continue forever. So when I looked at this sculpture, when I literally stood in front of this image and I blew it up and I was looking at the exquisite details, and I could imagine you standing with your equipment which is spewing fire when you're holding it and when you're carving these images on this piece of bone. I
like
could
that photograph.
Yes,
But Uttaran,
yes.
when you look at that bone, do you see the negative space, as you call it, an egg shape at the bottom?
Okay, yeah, I see that now.
There's an egg shape there. We symbolize
Yes.
these possibilities, and this piece is standing upon a brake mechanical thing from a car, like saying stop the slave trade. And when you look at the piece that is hanging like this, that open space in there, when you look at it from one side, it looks like a shape of a heart. It looks like also a buttock. When you keep changing it, you are going to get certain forms that you are not going to see unless you are sitting at a particular thing. So African art is an art that conceals and reveals living little secrets around for you to live with and to discover, because you cannot say that I can get my PhD in spirit. Spirit develops every day, it grows every day, it nags you every day, it praises you every day, it criticizes you every day, but ultimately it takes you to sleep so that you can have very good dreams, because you're not oppressing anybody.
I understand, and I agree completely. I mean, this is so enlightening. I mean, so I thank you. I thank you for letting me feature this art. I thank Melrose Gallery. I thank Aptomed. I thank Eugene for making this dream come true for me. So with this note, Pitika, I'll move to the next one, please.
Sorry?
I'll move to the next image.
Okay.
Yes.
Which one?
Yeah, right here.
The warrior queen.
The warrior queen of Africa. This is the second of our 4 images here. The second sculpture. There are 45 of these being exhibited at the Melrose Gallery, Johannesburg, right now. We're just featuring 4 Pitika chose for us. This one is called, the title is The Warrior Queen of Africa. And
Child of warrior queens of our land, you rise like a tidal wave to look at the stars that light the ancestral path. From the planet of Njebom for the red dog, you draw your soul to your spirit, your African spirit, born when dinosaurs still paraded the land. I follow your elegant footsteps into force fields of love, longing, and desire, still lost in hazy nights of colonizers and interlopers. Warrior queen of Africa.
Wow, this is again so heartwarming. I mean, it literally tears me up, because see, I felt that always forever, women were revered across generations since the beginning of time, because women gave birth. I mean, the Mother Earth was considered holy. I mean, but as time passed and with modernism, I mean, the entire thing changed. But when you create this sculpture and when I stand in front of it, it reminds me of my mother. I mean, I lost my mother when I was 16, and it reminds me of her because I can feel her strength. I can feel her voice speaking to you right now through my larynx. I can feel the throbbing heartbeat of her literally pulsating to my veins. I can feel her right now when I look at this. Pitika, would you want to talk about your views and your story behind this, please?
Uttara, look at that warrior queen, right?
Yes.
Look at the legs. Do you see the legs?
Yes.
What? That space in there, what do you see in that space?
I see a Y.
A Y.
I almost see a birth canal.
Don't you see a bullet?
Okay, yes, I do. Yes, I do.
And besides, she's a warrior queen of Africa, isn't she?
Right.
It's like a nail, and yet it's also a bullet.
Yes. Pitika is talking about this negative space right here, this negative space here. I mean, it's like a nail and it's also like a bullet. Yeah.
So when you look and walk around these pieces in between the spaces, you are going to find a lot of messages.
Mm-hmm.
But the other point, again, that we are missing in the virtual is that in the real exhibition, when you put the light on, the shadow cast by this, when the light moves like this, it is going to tell you different narratives that are in it. So that it is not just an object in itself, it's a shadow that it casts. It is a spaces, it's a spaces that it is doing it. So you cannot look at that space without looking at the object in itself. So the space-time continuum of quantum is there, embedded in these sculptures.
Well, and what can I say, Pitika? I mean, this is so poetic that the sculpture is not just the sculpture itself, but the shadow it casts, and the shadow it casts at different points in time, where the sun moves or the light moves. I mean, and every shadow that it casts is different, and it tells a different story. Yes, and so I believe women across the world, the ancient women, they've casted shadows, and we are the shadows. You are a shadow, I am a shadow of the ancient earth, the ancient Mother Earth, the ancient warrior queen of Africa.
Thank you.
It is all right.
Or shall we move to the medium on fire?
Yes.
I love this because that's almost a self-portrait.
Okay.
Medium on fire.
Yes.
Prometheus stole the fire of the gods, gave them to us to cook our food and light our caves. I am a medium born from flames of memory and history. I dance you into health, watched by the full moon. I am the warrior of the spirit at war with pandemics, to appease the angry earth, abused, polluted, pillaged, raped. Dance with me the ancestral dances to heal our souls and the souls of those who drown in rivers of greed and corruption in our lands. I am the medium on fire.
What can I say? It is so thrilling, Pitika. Please talk about this.
When you look at that table there, you can see we set it alight and we bent it. This see that's supposed to be brittle. We bent it. You can see there the ashes, the redness, right? You see the arms that are actually inviting the spirit and embracing the spirit.
Right.
But look at the space between the legs. What do you find between the legs?
I see, a negative space which is almost like a vessel. It's like an earthen vessel.
Yes, that's an earthen vessel that is in there, and it is a vessel through which we pour our beer, our spirits, in order to pay libation, to our ancestors. I'm glad that you saw it. That means to say you have an educated eye.
Thank you. But I believe everyone who look at this would see it. It is so African, the earthen vessel, and the images is of such a person who's literally raising his arms and touching the sky to bring fire. I mean, it is it is almost. I mean, as you said, it is a self-portrait. It is you, isn't it? You're touching the sky, touching the spirits, and bringing the fire of earth. Bringing the fire of art to us, for all of us, bringing memories of fire and enlightening our minds through it. Isn't that you?
It is. When you look at the feet are so broad. They boast an intuitive understanding or the heartbeat, the pulsation, and the pulsation of the earth. That's what they are. But when you look at it very closely from another angle, that bone head from one side is a map of Africa.
Oh, it's yeah. I understand from this side. Yeah, this part is the top, and when it comes down, it's the map of Africa. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So, yes. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So the aesthetics and the politics and the philosophy all manifested through bone spirit.
Okay. Wonderful.
Now the other one then here is a Toyando. Toyando is from Venda. Toyando is from Venda. Our president is Venda speaking. Toyando, an elephant head.
Right.
I hear your thunderous footsteps echo on the land of our ancestors. Toyando, grandson of Dimbanyika, father of Velilambeu, spirit that eternally caresses the Njelele, valley to keep ancestral spirits at peace, forces at peace. Elephantine memories flow with ease and purpose, retracing steps we took since time immemorial to heal our bodies and souls when demons invaded our spaces. We carry memories of honeycombs of heroic histories in steady and secure geographies before interlopers walked our land, spraying diseases to give purpose to our cures. We look back to retrace our odyssey along rugged roads of sickness and healing to witness the birth of memory, the memory of our being, the memory of our spirit, the memory of our souls. Yes, we, children of wind, fire, children of the rivers, children of the deserts and the sands, we carry deserts inside ourselves. We carry visions of love and of peace. May our spirit guide us to an eternity of joy, peace, free from corruption and from greed. Love one another, be at peace. I salute you. I salute you, Jim.
I must say that, I mean, I can imagine that when I stand, I mean, if I ever stand in front of this sculpture ever, it's an elephant's head, and I look at it and I see an ancestral face of the king Thohoyandou, and it is so primordial. It is so ecstatic in its being as it's looking at me. I mean, I can feel my ancestors smiling at me when I see this. And as you believe that,
but can you see that head is also a skeleton? You see the eyes here and the mouth.
Yes, I can see the eyes right here. Yes, the two eyes. I can see the mouth right here. Yes, and I would like to say that when I stand in front of this, stand in front of the image, I can almost hear the laughter of my ancestors, as I said, and I felt that even you feel that every human culture has an ancient connection, and so at this point of time, I feel so insanely connected with you, Pitika, that it brings a poem alive inside of me. If you allow me, I will read it to you.
Yeah, please.
It says, Pitika, when I look into your eyes, my heart screams out a banyan tree. Pitika, when I look into your eyes, my heart screams out a banyan tree. Come, sit under its shadow and breathe the air my ancestors breathed.
They
Well,
killed us and buried our bones. Our bones became the roots of a banyan a tree that holds onto the earth of our own ancestors. Those roots that carry the leaves and the branches that gives us the shadows in the scorching sun of greed, in the scorching sun of exile, in the scorching sun of anywhere else. May your banyan spirit and my banyan spirit be wrapped together by those long seeking roots that embrace the earth with love and with spirit. Thank you.
thank you so much. Thank you. I mean, I'm glad that I mean, I mean, this poem just came to me, and I believe what the poem you just said came to you right now as well. I mean, this is so enlightening that at the end of the day we are connected. We're connected through art. We're connected through poetry, and this is I believe
Yeah.
this is an epic moment. This is the best moment of my life. I mean, of course, best moment in my life is when I met my wife, but this is I would call this
I
is
knew
the
you'd
second
go there
best.
because I would do the same. Uchara,
All
you know what
right.
happened? You know what happened with that poem, the banyan tree?
Mm-hmm.
Your banyan tree poem pickpocketed me and took out the poem out of me so that we have got one poem, you and I.
Absolutely. I mean, it is a point of co-creation. Let me touch your hand right here, right
Let's touch,
here. Yes,
let's touch our hand.
yes, yes. Oh,
Thank you.
oh,
Thank you.
I feel blessed. It brings us to like two last questions. I would ask you just there are two more. One is you are an unstoppable force, Pitika Ntuli. You've been through storms, you've been through fire, and you've emerged with your head held high in the world of art as 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 a person of integrity, as a person of stature, as a person of command, as a person who's in control of his work and of his life. So I would request you to say a couple of words to motivate the artists and the men and the women around us right now who are facing the pandemic. And what would Pitika Ntuli tell them?
Believe in yourself. Listen to those that know better, the scientists and the doctors. Love those people close to you. You are not isolated without any reason. Cherish them. Create,
Oh,
write, dream, play. Make children happy. May the children make you happy. So in the absolute end is that creativity is an antidote to depression, is an antidote to disease. Creativity is a bullfighter that fights pandemics.
right.
Amen.
Absolutely. And lastly, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Creativity is the key. The creativity is just it can open doors to another dimension, another world where you can be safe. You can rise above the pandemic. And lastly, Pitika, I would ask you that hashtag Go Viral to Stop the Virus is a movement that we began where we asked artists, musicians, children, homemakers, IT people, everyone in the world to come together and translate the virus into something positive. Translate the fear of the virus, the concept of the virus into art, into poetry, into music. And today, as I invited you, Pitika Ntuli, and you've collaborated with us, you've become a part of our initiative. And Pitika, I would ask you to say a few words about the initiative. What is your message to hashtag Go Viral to stop the virus?
Or what has happened, the people that are involved in starting this movement, they are doing it because they are joined by one thing, one spirit, a spirit of love for human beings, a spirit of love for nature, a spirit of love for animals, a spirit of love for each other. And once you've got 2 or 3 people joined actually like that, then you have all humanity, inside yourself. So that whoever listens must also donate their spirit in this endeavor to make our world a better and a safer place for us, for our children, our children's children, for our future.
Thank you. Thank you, Pitika. In this beautiful note, we'll end our conversation today. And I hope all the viewers who watched us, it is, and they've, I believe they've been writing continuously. Eugene's been writing, Alison Cox has been writing, they've been writing their comments here. And I know that the happiness that I feel inside me right now, I believe all the viewers who watched it would feel the same, and viewers who would watch it in the future would feel the same. Thank you for watching, and thank you, Pitika Ntuli, for being here and for enlightening me and for rising my spirit.
May I thank the spirit that has guided those people who said and shared this precious, moment, with us. I don't know you, you don't know you, but your spirit knows mine, my spirit knows you. That's how the world ought to be. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pitika. Thanks to our spirits and thanks to you. Today we'll end our show here. And, and thank you again. What can I say? I'm too overwhelmed. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.